Loewe is winning at quite literally everything right now, and I've been so enamored by this brand for the last few months that I have started curating a list of reasons why I think they're probably the best luxury design house for this decade. And then the list index for Q1 2025 just dropped, and guess who's on top? Loewe. So clearly I'm not alone. And the list index does give their own insight into why these brands make it to the top of the list, but I wanted to share with you the list that I had started creating. Number one, and I think the most important reason why Loewe is the best brand of the moment, is the fact that they are doing social media right. So historically, a lot of these luxury design houses did not have social media accounts. They seem to even have a disdain for social media, and it took them a while to start and to maintain active accounts, because there was always a question of losing exclusivity of the brands and cheapening their brand integrity, cheapening the outlook of what luxury fashion is, losing control of the narrative of what luxury fashion is, and opening up discourse or opening up the conversation to people who are not their target market. And we see that happening in real time, and is contributing to the decline in desire for luxury. A lot of these brands have definitely found their footing when it comes to their social media presence, but none like Loewe. Loewe is present on almost every major social platform, and they're active daily on these platforms. On their landing page on loewe.com, you can clearly see and access links to their social platform. One of the main reasons I think they're winning is because they are conquering one of the toughest social platforms to be on as a company that is selling a product, and that is TikTok. TikTok is not the best place to market certain items, especially like luxury. You have to have a sense of realness. It's a platform of relatability. It's a platform of the average person. It's a platform of wit and quickness and hilarity. And a lot of these luxury design houses are not aligned with that type of thing. So it's very difficult for them to advertise, connect with an audience. However, Loewe has done it astoundingly well. We see them posting every day, as I mentioned. They're tacking onto trends, but not in a way that they're taking away from the average person. They're incorporating these people, highlighting their lives. And these are people who might not have even been a target audience. They may not even be able to afford Loewe items, but these are people who are relatable to other people. And people like to see people elevated, and Loewe is giving them that opportunity. They're tacking onto the jokes. They're showing relatability and realness, which is so very important in social media. And a lot of other brands are still not doing that, or they're not doing it well, but Loewe is clocking everybody. Number two is that they're making wearable art. When people used to think of designer fashion, we used to think of runway shows. We thought of celebrities and their red carpet moments. We thought of couture. We thought of the ultra wealthy attending galas. We thought of pieces that made it into a museum. We think of art and creativity. A lot of designer brands have pretty much watered down their designs, and we see articles of clothing going on runways, going down red carpets, and they look pretty bland, pretty boring. They give you the backstory of, how these things were created, the inspiration, but they're not interesting. But Loewe is still making interesting wearable pieces of items that people could see themselves wearing or incorporating into their daily lives. These wearable pieces of art are therefore worth thousands of dollars that a lot of designer items or ready to wear tend to be quoted for. Imagine being able to wear something that's on the runway, that could make it into a museum, that could go down the red carpet, that still looks good, and you can have that in your closet. That's amazing, and for that reason people want to buy into that. Unlike a lot of the other luxury design houses now that are suffering, they're losing out on profits because they're just not presenting things that are worth people purchasing. Number three is that Loewe owns a season. When I think of summer, I think of Loewe. If you ask me for suggestions on which luxury design house to go to for summer items, I am 1000% gonna scream Loewe at you. Loewe owns the summer bags. Every single bag that I would recommend for this summer is from Loewe. They are amazing when it comes to design. Very simple but very interesting summer dresses. When it comes to just basic tank tops, this is like a basic tank top and a regular Loewe anagram, and people were flocking towards it a few summers ago. I love their shades. I love the little hats that they create. Number four is that they are bringing a sense of newness. It seems like a lot of these luxe design houses, especially the heritage brands, keep going back into the vault to bring back things that they already had before, and they're barely doing anything to them. But Loewe is constantly creating new styles, or sometimes it's not even creating a whole new thing, an entire thing. It is just bringing a sense of newness to something that already exists. For example, using an iconic style and making it from fabric or leather or something that you would not expect it to be made of, that is still wearable, that is still functional, and that is very important because it stimulates excitement and something to talk about in people. It makes the item interesting. It makes it something worth buying. Number five is that Loewe is giving the people what they want. One of the major signs of a successful business is to be able to consistently give the consumer what they want. Give them what they want. A lot of these design houses are stuck in their way of giving people what they think they want. And it takes me back to a speech that's made in The Devil Wears Prada, where Miranda Priestly talks about creating a style or creating an aesthetic, creating a trend, and then putting it into play so that it makes people think that's what they want. And a lot of brands are working from that same playbook, but people are wising up now and they don't necessarily want to do that. They want to create the narrative on what is desired. And Loewe is definitely doing that. There's something they did recently, about a year ago from me making this video. Someone posted on, I believe Twitter or one of those social platforms, the cross-section of a tomato and said that this is given Loewe. Don't know how to explain it, but this is totally Loewe. And it was a pretty big inside joke on social media that it definitely is, and we were having fun with it. Fast forward to later, Loewe has released an entire line of products that is inspired by that tweet. Now, some people are like, oh, this is actually a marketing scheme. They pay that person to do that. If they did, this is a sickeningly good marketing campaign. But nonetheless, as people who are perpetually online who saw that then, and now to see that they have a line of items, this is a perfect way of them being able to connect with an audience. And you can also tell that they're very interested in capturing this market that may not have been able to afford the usual Loewe items. They may not be able to afford the big ticketed items, but this type of audience is able to afford a hand soap. They're able to afford a charm, and these are the things that they made. And of course, they're still targeting their usual audience. And this is just so fascinating to me, and not every brand is able to do this while still maintaining their level of exclusivity and maintaining their looks status. Offering quality goods and services. If you've been here long enough, thank you so much. I appreciate you being here, but you've probably heard me say that one of my top wish list pieces that I've not yet acquired is the Loewe puzzle bag. I think it's one of the best designer handbags in existence. And I've rambled on about how good this bag is. And there was minding my business in somebody else's comment section where they had asked, what is the best expensive item you've ever purchased? What's the best designer item you've purchased? And I kid you not, majority of the answers with thousands of likes was the Loewe puzzle bag. And this definitely shows that Loewe is still one of those brands making the absolute highest quality items in existence. I've rarely, if ever, heard a single person complain about their Loewe puzzle bag being faulty or just not keeping up. And if you go on the secondhand market, the prices are just as high as retail. Lucky number 7 and final reason I think Loewe will continue to be the best brand of this decade is that they still cater to their core audience. A lot of luxury design houses are struggling. They're in limbo. They're unsure of how to transition from their previous target market, who might not be interested in them anymore, to a younger population, especially the Gen Z population, who's made a lot of money through influencing and, just having higher level education, entering at higher pay rates, those who do get jobs. It's very hard for a lot of them to transition to that target market while still maintaining their previous clientele. But Loewe walks a very thin line, and they walk it very well in maintaining their target audience while welcoming a new audience without being discriminatory and still maintaining their level of exclusivity. It's very hard to do all these things at once, yet here they are doing it perfectly well. Yes, they're doing amazing on social media, but they're also doing exceptionally well still in print media. They're doing well in television media. They're everywhere, they're present, and they're very balanced. You can tell that they have exceptional teams working in different areas. They're very compartmentalized and they're working well together, and this is very important for a lot of these luxury design houses. Overall, Loewe is on top. They're on the ball, they're on the money, and I think they will continue to do well. There will be a change of the guard when it comes to creative director at Loewe. The iconic Jonathan Anderson is about to take his leave. He's definitely responsible for much of the success of the brand in recent years, and he will see, or we will welcome, 2 other amazing designers. They were once they're leaving Pro and Schuler. That would be Jack and Lazaro, and I anticipate that they will bring just as good a level of design creativism to Loewe. And I think the brand, because as I mentioned, they seem to be very well structured, will continue to do exceptionally well. And we can only hope for the best, and we wish the best to Jonathan Anderson also as he takes his leave. Let me know in the comments how you feel about Loewe, how you feel about them being on top, and do you think that they will be the best luxury design house for this decade? Until my next video, stay fashionable well and in good health.